new views. Again, I'm outside today and I'm very grateful that I'm wearing sunglasses because my eyeliner just failed. I don't know what this mess is. On to our normal intro. Hello and welcome to another Madison Writes video. This time we're going to talk about some of the most common tropes, especially in young adult. I most specifically write young adult romance. And I have here a little list of the most common YA young adult tropes. I'm going to tell you if I've used them myself, what I think about them, my personal opinion on them, and that's what this video is going to be. So enjoy. Before I get into this, I just want to say, regardless of how I feel about any of these things, regardless of what you're going to read on a lot of websites that tell you how to avoid these common tropes, blah blah blah, end of the line, write what you want to write. So the first one on this common tropes list is that the protagonist or your main character is an outsider, and they have the lovely quote of, "I'm not like other girls." So this is a trope that I personally have no problems with, and one that I use pretty much every single time I write. The reason for this is because I think all of us in some way relate to being an outsider. There's something intrinsically lonely about the human condition. Everyone finds something about themselves that stands out, that's different from everyone else, and that makes you feel like you're an outsider in some way. So I don't have a problem with this trope because I think it's a good way to relate to people. It's a good way to get your readers to relate to your main character because they'll see themselves in that. And I think being an outsider is just human nature. The parents are dead. I use this one a lot, especially in young adult. I think the reason we want this is because we want our characters to have freedom. A lot of the characters in young adult are teenagers, and when you're a teenager, you don't have the sort of freedom that you would as an adult. So by eliminating a restrictive force like parents, you allow your characters to be a little bit more autonomous, and you can just not bother with parents. Another reason that I've had the parents in my books die off is because less characters to worry about. It's as simple as that. All adults are useless. This one is interesting. I don't know how much I've used this. This is more of a parents are useless, or the parents of the characters have some sort of issue, like for example alcoholism, something like that. And that, again, I think we do for relatability. A lot of people come from households that are broken in one way or another, and by adding in an element like that, you can kind of relate more and assure people that they're not alone. The whole all adults are useless thing, I think, again, is just this idea of the autonomy that young adults and teenagers really seek and go after. So to kind of fulfill that autonomous fantasy, a lot of the adults are gone or are useless. I do think that you should have good adults because there are good adults. If you're going to have adults in your story, I do agree that maybe you shouldn't have them be completely useless because there are some very good people and good adults in real life. Token diversity. So this is essentially getting your diversity points. So having a character, person of color character, to really get your diversity points is what this is talking about. I think in today's very PC world, you're kind of expected to have diverse characters, and I think you should have them. People of color should have their stories told as much, if not more, than white people. But if you're going to have characters of color in your novel, give them a lot of substance, make them realistic. If your book takes place in a very conservative small town, you might have a character of color, but they're less likely to be there just because of environmental factors. So make it believable if you put in diverse characters. It's good to have cultural awareness, but just be aware of how you do it. The old dystopian world, I can't talk much about this because I don't write dystopian novels. I don't see a problem with writing this. This is something that I think intrigues everyone, is the idea of how to respond to a world that has been completely destroyed and now you have to recover from that. If dystopian novels are something that interests you, heck yeah, go for it. I really don't care. Protagonist can't see her own beauty. This is common, but again, I think it's the relatability. We have trouble seeing our own beauty. We're our harshest critics, and so having a protagonist that has that same sort of thing going on is, again, for relatability's sake. But it does get very tiring, especially if every single one of your main characters is like that, and every single character that you read about is like that, because there are very beautiful people who are very confident and see their own beauty. For me, it would kind of be like, if that's part of their journey, like if one of the end results is that they can finally see their own beauty, then I really don't think it's that bad of a thing. But I think the main problem people have with this trope is that when describing the main character, they're always some beach blonde, blue-eyed goddess. So maybe making your characters a little more ordinary looking, or not quite so larger than life attractive, then I think that's really where we have the issue. Hey, my parents are out of town. House party. I see this more in TV shows than in books. Well, maybe I'm just not reading the same books that the people of this website are. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I've ever done this. Probably because I've never thrown a house party and I've never been interested in house parties. I know they happen, but if you want to do a house party, I guess. Or don't, according to this website. Forced romance, I really like the quote that's under this. There's something about the way your abs are glistening that makes me want to have your babies. A lot of YA and a lot of everything in general has romance in it. For me, it's just like, do what you want with romance. Slow burns tend to be a little bit more realistic, because if characters are experiencing immense attraction and they're like in love right away, that's infatuation. Whereas a slow burn, it's a little more realistic to have it be a love romance as opposed to pure attraction, infatuation romance. But this one, I think, is really just a matter of the pacing and character development more so than anything else. I am the chosen one. I have a couple of story ideas that are like that. I think chosen one storylines come from this part of a lot of us that we want to be special and we want to be above others and we want to have a very specific calling that only we can do, and again, it's for that relatability. And like I said at the beginning of this video, write whatever you want. Yeah, it may be really common, but again, it comes out of this desire that a lot of people share of wanting there to be something that only they can do, that they're chosen for. So if that's something that you want to write about, freaking go for it. That's what writing is about, is having fun and doing what you love. 10, the love triangle. I was waiting for this one. This is in fact the entire reason I even made this video. The love triangle. So I've used this trope a lot in my writing, especially in my earlier writing. I was obsessed with love triangles. Love triangles tend to be the cheapest way to get drama into a story that otherwise doesn't have a whole lot of drama. And I was obsessed with it. I freaking loved the idea of a love triangle, and I think I loved it so much because I liked the idea of multiple people being into me at the same time. But now that that's happened in real life, it's just exhausting. Nowadays, I absolutely hate love triangles. I try to avoid them in my works as much as possible. Nowadays, if I introduce two characters and you think there's going to be romance between them, you can pretty much bet that there's going to be romance between them, and there's going to be other issues aside from a love triangle, because I don't like love triangles anymore. They drive me nuts. Again, I think they're a very cheap way to put drama in a story because you're not quite sure what else to write about. Like I said, they're exhausting in real life, and I just don't want my readers to be exhausted. But yeah, love triangles. I used to be obsessed with them, especially like when I was 12, 13, 14. That was kind of my thing. I was obsessed with love triangles, and now that I'm older, they just don't do it for me anymore. That's apparently my advice. This video wasn't supposed to be about my advice of how to approach common tropes in YA literature, but that's what this video turned into. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye. That was a very sudden wrap up. It's just like, boom, done. What is that? Oh, it's on my screen. It's not my sunglasses. Yeah, if... Ding! Wind chime. Main character, they're... Excuse me, wind chime. I'm talking. I think this again relates to... That didn't hold that down very well, so I'm just gonna do that. We're just gonna wait for the wind to calm down because you probably can't hear me over the wind. Oh well, that's what happens.